All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Serious Angler Podcast, powered by our friends over at X2 Power Batteries. We're back with the captain, Mr. Andy Full.
We're alive. We're here.
Alive.
We're in the flesh.
Yeah, dude, it is that time of year where things like a light switch here in New York, where it goes from like your 60 days to some rainy days, like still hoodies and rain gear, till now it's like just plastering hot, 85 to 90 degrees, humidity. And not that I'm complaining, because things are getting that summer bite where it's like we're in that phase where it's super spawny, but I just want to accelerate to that late summer bite because dude, it's just a fun time of year. But also I say that I'm excited for it, but I also will complain like hell about the heat for whatever reason. But already missed it.
I'm pretty sure I watched a guy jump in the lake today without any clothes on. So, because he was dying out there. I'm like, my client looks and she goes, "Is that dude naked?" I'm like, "I don't know. He's kind of far away." And I'm pretty sure, yeah. I was like, this is a good start to the day.
What happens when things get hot in Buffalo?
Yeah. Like, we're the only two boats out in the middle of the lake. And we're like probably 500 yards apart from each other. You just hear splash. And I got a chick on my boat and she's like, "Is that guy naked?" I'm like, "I don't know. I can't see that far." Like,
yeah. As you start trolling the motor the other way. Yeah.
I was like,
disregard.
Yeah, it's like
Probably Jeff.
I was like, it was not Jeff. Jeff was not out there. He was working, which was sad because the bite has just been ridiculous the last few days. So yeah.
Jeff would probably still be in his same old black sweatpants, black hoodie.
Dude, that dude's nuts. He's got black sweatpants, black hoodie, black life jacket, black hat, black like buff. I'm like, dude, landscaper stuff. I mean, really, you should wear black when it's really sunny because it kind of reflects light away from you instead of taking it in. But you just feel so much hotter.
Is that really a thing? I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was.
Why? Do you know why? Do you know why? Like football players, baseball players put black eye guard. It's to pull light away from your eyes, so it kind of pulls light. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was interesting how when Blackfish dropped the Angler Sun hoodie and they have the black one, which is one of my favorite colorways they have. And surprisingly is really nice.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah. Dude, it was a scorcher this past weekend. We had the Hobie event on Cayuga, which of course is a slugfest per usual. Lake's fishing really good. And of course one on smallmouth. I kind of figured it was going to, but knew what that lake could do largemouth wise. And if I figured out of anybody, I probably had a good chance of finding those largemouth. But shout out to Ewing Miner who blasted him day one. He had 99 inches and he had a 7.5 pounder, which he had like an 8+ in practice too. So the big girls were up, they were doing their thing, and I had a chance at 8.5, maybe close to it day two, but simply just didn't have things go right per usual on KU. I love the lake. She doesn't love me.
Are not as easy to catch as a smallmouth.
Well, apparently even the smallmouth are being tricky too. Like guys were spending a couple hours on smallmouth, which is unheard of. But I think when it happens, when you have 30 anglers catch it already that week, that'll do it to it.
That will 100% make them.
Part of my reasoning for not going down there was just didn't want to join that crowd. But I say that, and there was a crowd doing the largemouth thing too, so it wasn't much better. But
there was 120 boat, 120 kayaks, was it 122?
34.
That's pretty good compared to last year, right?
Biggest kayak event in New York State history.
It's amazing. Kudos to the Tupperware Army showing up. Yes,
Tupperware Army. Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. You say Tupperware Army, some of these rigs are getting gnarly.
Oh
dude.
My god,
crazy.
It's kind of funny. Like some of the clients that come on my boat, they follow the podcast and everything. And they're like, "How much is Bailey's kayak worth?" And I'm like, "Dude," I was like, "If he trades that in, he could probably trade it in for a used boat and get cash back." Like,
it's there, man. But I am very fortunate to work with some great people, and so trust me, I would not be buying that full decked out setup. But either way, it is amazing to be using. But it's funny, but in every tournament this year, I got the Apex 13 running this year, Helix 10. I think maybe one tournament I've actually used them. Everything else has been leave everything in the truck and just go sight fishing shallow. So it was a fun event this weekend. Good crew. Always like the events where you can stay with guys at the house and have some good camaraderie, but people freaking slayed him this weekend as expected. But we have some more coming up soon that I'm excited about. Sounds like the smallmouth bite is good on Lake Erie, and man, we have a really fun episode because we have obviously we're live here tonight, but we're gonna get into it with our guests a little bit. We're going live tomorrow morning. So that's some news for some folks. So we got some more coming on social here, details wise, but we have some pretty cool stuff coming. And we have a great show today. We got Pete from Omnia Fishing joining us. We're going to talk a little bit how right now you can go compete against Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Seth Feider, how you can win some big prizes doing so, and also watch him live fishing tomorrow. So I think without further ado, let's bring him in here. We got Pete from Omnia Fishing. What's going on, bro?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
In a minute, man, but got you back on here, and we got some exciting stuff this week for Omnia.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally talk about this. I've had a crazy early part of this week already, just with all the prep for ICAST. I know that sounds crazy because that's usually the first couple weeks of July, but in my world, this month is when you get ready for it, and all the vendors come in and see you and show you all the new stuff, and it's kind of my calendar's overwhelmed right now with a lot of that kind of stuff, but I'm excited to finally talk about some fun stuff like some fishing. I talked to Seth yesterday. He's been out fishing a whole bunch, and we're excited to get the whole deal. Thank you very much, by the way, for partnering with us on this deal to showcase Seth Fishing in this deal with Tourney X. It means a lot to us. We're trying to showcase the premium pro side of things, the pro side of our app at Omnia. But, you know, more than that, even we all talked about it. This is supposed to be fun. Like, we want to do some more of this kind of stuff. Like, there's not a lot of tournaments that are more fun-based tournaments that are just like, let's get out there, catch them as good as you can and see how the chips fall with no entry fees and see what kind of prizes you can win. So honestly, I hope just as many people just do this just for fun as much as they look at our all the offerings we have with Pro at Omnia. So
yeah, and so down below we do have a link on how people can get involved in this, and
yeah,
I definitely think encourage you guys to, because one, it's not often that you get to go directly compete against one of the best in the sport. Yeah. And two, encourage you guys to go in there, catch them, and talk crap to Seth, because I'm sure
100%
of anybody he can take it and he'll push you back. Now's the time to do so.
Yeah, I almost will guarantee I can't, because I have no idea how any of this is going. I was talking to Bailey about this before, and Andy, and I shockingly have very little to do with the whole setup of this whole thing. I've been doing a whole different thing, but if I had my way, there would be better prizes for people who did talk more shit to Seth and get him fired up. So
it's got to be a consolation. Like
there will be. I'll throw something in there, and I promise that I'll figure something out. Whoever chirps the best gets something. So
love it.
Hey, if you find one and you get a good pick, we'll throw in some serious angle next year, because that's just perfect.
Awesome.
In the great state of Minnesota, it's got to be like a quality hockey chirp included.
It's something,
in there, right? Yeah,
it better be. It better be.
There we go. Yeah. Sean in the comments: shit talkers get better prizes.
That's I love it. I love it. Thank you, Sean.
It's so true though, because so here in New York, we got a pretty competitive local trail for on the kayak side anyway. And we have our first tournament of the year every year is a charity tournament. And honestly, it's one of my favorite ones of the year because, there might be, AOI points involved, but for the most part, it's all for a good cause. So guys go out with like no stress, just straight up just talk crap for the whole day and have a good time. It's easily one of the best ones when you can go and do that and not have like a high stress environment. So it's cool, man. But so for folks that are looking to sign up, if they haven't, this is their first time learning about it, how long do they have to sign up for? And
this is going for a whole nother week past tomorrow, so I don't know the exact day it ends. It's on Tourney X there. If you go to Tourney X's website, you'll see it right away. You can't miss his big Seth Feider face there. We also have some more information at omniafishing.com. If you just go to the homepage, you'll see some stuff there about the tournament on the homepage there. But if you have, if you don't have pro, there are prizes, and you don't have to sign up for anything with Omnia Fishing to play. But I will tell you right now, it's worth it. If you are pro, we're going to double the prizes up for the people that are pro. And this, just like a lot of the things we've been doing this year, is the teaser to like what's to come. we have a lot more fun stuff on the pipeline here to pump this up and get it a lot bigger over time. So we're hoping for more involvement from some more of the fishing brands. I mean, in this particular one, pretty cool to see Rapple has stepped up. They got prizes. Sims has got prizes. Daiwa's got prizes. Z-Man has prizes. Omnia's got prizes. So there's all sorts of stuff there. Plus, we're just a bunch of gift cards and cash prizes as well. But we're going to do this bigger and bigger and bigger as we go. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that Dale Earnhardt quote is quite accurate. By the way.
Yeah. We got Sam Axe in the comments here. It says that's that dark picture. Seth almost looks like Dale Earnhardt.
Oh yeah.
He's just trying to intimidate people from not signing up to fish.
And I'll tell you what, right now, I thought he would be, honest to God, just knowing Seth the way I do. I've been fishing with him a long, long time, way before Omnia and all that. I did not think we could get him to take this that serious because there were still turkeys running around a little while ago. Fishing season's been tough for him. He's got three beautiful little girls hasn't spent a lot of time with because he's been traveling with the Elite Series. He is kind of more like Dale Earnhardt than you realize right now. I promise you guys, he's taking this thing way more serious than you think. So it's not gonna be as easy as I thought it'd be to beat him. He's looking at inches right now. He's trying to do some math. He's going for it. So I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of proud of him. I'm happy to see it. His competitive juices are flowing, and I think he's going to throw a bag up there tomorrow. It'll be fun to watch.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to watch Seth put a fish on a measuring board.
Yeah. I know.
My question is for like the Turning X and measuring fish, do you need the catch board for it, or can you use like any standard like 25-inch ruler?
I was under the impression it was a catch board. We are using a catch board for it for Seth, but I swear I saw some pictures not on a catch board when I looked at the Turning X thing. So to be quite honest with you, I'm not 100% sure on that, but our guys are approving the picks. So I guess I'm thinking you need
there's some leniency.
Board, yeah, there might be some leniency there if it looks legit anyway. We're gonna police it a little bit, and trust me, so will Seth. He's into this one. He thinks he can throw up a pretty decent bag of smallmouth with inches there. What I didn't know on Mille Lacs which is weird because I got into smallmouth fishing in Minnesota, actually on the upper Mississippi, and they're longer fish there. A 4.5 to 5 pounder could be up in that 21, 22 inch range. Where on the bigger lakes, they're not that long. They just get so much wider. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that a Mille Lacs 5 pounder typically is only 21. I thought that was a 22 inch fish, but so I'm interested to see what kind of length he actually puts up there.
I'll tell you what, the competition right now is looking pretty
stout. I know.
So for folks, 108 inches is probably around a 30-pound bag.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there's some pretty stout ones here. 2 Florida guys leading right now, but we have some Northerners in there. Top 5, we got a Wisconsin guy, Minnesota right here with a 99.5 all smallmouth.
Yep.
I wish I could have measured all 5 of the big smallies I got in the last 4 days. Like
what are they like on Erie? Are they stout and short, or are they longer?
Like we have like a weird mix because we have the Niagara River there too, and we have some fish that will go back and forth. So sometimes you'll get like a 4.5 pounder that's close to 21 inches, and then your next fish you catch will be 6 pounds and 18 3/4. So it's like
that's wild.
It is a crazy mix of size, length, and girth. To put in perspective, we got one a month ago that was 16 1/4 and 4.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, tuna can.
Wow. That's wild.
But yeah, it's good. I'd say probably right now, if we were able to enter this, I would probably be right around like 105 for my best 5.
That's impressive.
I don't know, Annie. That's pretty bold to talk about.
I got pictures of
them.
So
I think 105 for smallmouth might be the biggest, or the longest smallmouth bag I think ever put up.
Yeah, I had was it 2 days ago? I caught one that was 22. I have a 21.75, a 21. and 2 just under 21.
All right, you know what? Because of this, Andy, I'm gonna be that guy on social media that calls you out.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm gonna come drop off a measuring board, and I want you to start actually.
Hold on. Oh no, I actually have a measuring board with a picture of one of them. So
yeah, but the one that's in your bowl that doesn't count.
Sure, it's not a catch board. I know. Hold on.
We got to start the crap talking here, Pete.
Well, I thought Seth was going to tell me he'd caught dozens and dozens of 22 inchers. I mean, he lived on Mille Lacs for a while. That most of my time on the lake was when he lived up there. I slept on his couch every weekend. We fished out there like crazy. We never measured him though. It was all weight. You know what I mean? So my assumption was those were 21, 22 inch fish. He started measuring them years ago, a little bit that I didn't know. And he said he caught 122 incher that entire time. We were blasting. I mean, we were catching 30-pound bags of smallmouth. This is legit. Like, honestly, we were catching 30-pound bags of smallmouth, and he was catching 122 incher a summer. So I didn't realize those fish on Mille Lacs were not that long compared to their weights, you know?
Yeah. 22-inch fish is a very, very, very old fish.
Yeah.
But 2, you're talking big, like 6.5 plus. Cause like, I'll say like Christine Fisher, at our event here on Cayuga, she caught her personal best, which was 6.5 pounds.
Yeah.
I think it was 21 3/4.
That's insane. See, that's what's weird is the upper Mississippi, they're really long and they're not that heavy, right? This is back in my walleye days. We were starting a smallmouth fish up there. So we measured everything, right? It's how we did it. We did not weigh them. And I measured them all. And I caught multiple 22s a day, several times. But none of those fish were, maybe some of them were 5-pounders, but none of them were anywhere near the class of fish Christine caught, or the Cayuga fish, the Erie fish, the Mille Lacs. These are all just long, skinny river fish, you know?
Yeah. I think that's just the way they're built to fight that current all the time.
Agreed. Yeah.
So we catch a lot of long, like barely 4-pounders in the Niagara. They'll be like 20 1/4, 20 1/2.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's very similar to what we're doing with. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of kayak anglers that are going to listen to this right now that are going to want to be like, Andy, we're going to get you a board. We're going to
if you pay for the board, I'll start taking pictures of all of them. I don't care.
I have lots of catch boards. I'll send you one. Yeah. But just so you know, on that note, for everybody, if you're in a region where 22, 23, 24-inch fish are not even possible, we are going to look at winners per region in areas of the country that we have a team of people at Omnia that are looking at it. And there's going to be separate prizes for the Florida guys for largemouth that are 23 inches versus the smallmouth guys in the north, where I just recently learned a 6-pounder is barely 22 inches, which is blowing my mind, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy up here.
Yeah.
When you're talking 22 inches, you're talking
it's a big fish.
Yeah. So I know, I was talking earlier, Ewing Miner, he sent me a picture. He caught an 8.5 on Cayuga, and it was 21 3/4.
A buckethead or a smallmouth?
That's a largemouth.
Okay, yeah.
And usually you're talking longer for. It's crazy. But
our buddy Tyler, I think it was 2 springs ago around Memorial Day, got almost a 7 1/4. That was 21 3/4 smallmouth.
Well, we should look it up, but I can't remember one of the original big California big bucket heads that was one of the world records was only like a 24, 25 incher. I think that was like 20 pounds, you know? So yeah, it's pretty wild. You get up in those low 20s, you're talking a real big fish.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's kind of eye opening when you look at some of this stuff and actually start putting, a board and scale and kind of doing comparisons by region. Then you're diving into a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's funny for me to length things almost like full circle, because it was always that way when I moved to Minnesota. Walleye fishing was length, and then it got into bass fishing, and it was always weight. And it was the same argument. It was everybody, I catch 5-pounders all the time. It's like, oh, well, then weigh it and tell me, you know. And they never actually have caught a 5-pounder, you know. But now it's full circle back to weights again, or lengths again. So I'm excited about this. I'm sure excited to chirp Seth tomorrow. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely gonna be. It's gonna be.
I'll tell you what. I feel bad for him because he was pretty sure he could throw up some big number, and I'm telling you from experience with him, he can this time of year. And of course, because we planned this out weeks ahead of time. It's supposed to blow like 20 to 25 out of the west, and I'm relaxed. That's 4 or 5 footers on the other side.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the real deal. I mean, it's not Erie, but it's as close as you can get to being a Great Lake. It's what Mille Lacs is. Yeah,
smallmouth chew when that wind blows.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he can't get his 45-inch trolling motor off his boat either tonight because his motor needs an update and he didn't need some other thing. So he's got a short trolling motor too. So we'll have to see how he pulls this off. A lot of trailering tomorrow. So,
oh boy. Well, it's going to be interesting nonetheless. So people can tune into that. You can tune into either the Omnia Fishing YouTube channel or anywhere you watch any of our live streams. You can see that as well. So we're going to have all that rolling tomorrow. And I believe as of right now, we're only rolling from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern.
Exactly. Yep. That's live with you guys. And then I think we're on a break for a couple hours. We're going to go live again, but you can just go at any point in time to omniafishing.com to our homepage, and we'll have links to watch it live. Whether Bailey's hosting it or whoever's hosting it, it'll be all on. So should be fun. It should be a good time. I'm excited to chop it up and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So what we'll do is after the show too, I'll put in the links where people can access it from this show, but also if you guys are watching or following us on social, I'll give you guys updated links for our show, but also you guys will be going live with BTL too with Panger over there. Definitely encourage you guys to go tune into that as well, and because it's more hours of watching Seth fish, which we all love. So you can't not watch Seth fish. Always around.
If you have soft skin, don't watch because he's probably going to swear a bunch and smoke cigarettes. It's going to be the real deal. It's reality TV tomorrow. So
what you're saying is what the people need. Is what we want.
You're getting Seth in its purest form.
Yeah. It's going to be swearing in big water trying to catch smallmouth that aren't cooperating. So
it's just normal everyday life in the north. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly.
Absolutely perfect. That's good. So if that's not enough incentive to go watch, then I don't know.
Yeah, I know I've been looking forward to it. I haven't been able to focus on it till like literally tonight when I was leaving, and I was like, this is going to be fun. It should be a good time. What I want everybody to know is there'll probably be some screw ups on our end, on Omnia's end for sure. We're learning as we go here. We're testing out a few different ways to stream from the boat. We're going to be doing a bunch of different stuff because we plan on doing stuff like this a lot in the future and partnering up with our media partners like Serious Angler here and stuff and doing more of this stuff. So, and offering more prizes from out there with within the fishing industry because we need a lot more fun stuff to do in the fishing industry than getting so serious and pissed off and pay money tournaments like you just experienced on Cayuga there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring it back up. Thanks.
Yeah.
Just pour salt. Just keep going. It's okay.
Well, you did pretty good, but I hear what you're saying with your home. Like you have high expectations. That lake means a lot to me. I've told your listeners before, but I'm from that part of the country, and I've only been to Cayuga a couple times, and it was sadly after I'd already moved away. You know, it was when I learned about bass fishing more, came back to New York, and I went to Cayuga, and me and Seth had some magical days out there. Some of the best fishing I've had in the North Country was on Cayuga. So I like that lake too.
Yeah, it's a special one, man. It really is. It's good all year round. But yeah, dude, we got to get you back up here for sure.
I want to come.
We'll go spend some time.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. I'd take you both up on that anytime. I want to get back really bad. I want a Heights hot dog, and or a Hoffman hot dog, I should say. But I want to go back to Syracuse really bad. So, and I miss the fishing there. Minnesota, believe it or not, very similar bodies of water. You guys be right at home fishing these bodies of water. You know, we're getting a lot more pressure now, but there's still. That's the nice part of Minnesota. It's a big state, just like New York. And there's still parts of the state where they ask you what your power poles are. So
that's good.
You still catch them pretty good in some lakes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But a lot of the ones around my house are no longer the same little gems they used to be. They're you got to fish now. Now you're staring at a live scope. So
right. Well, you guys are, correct me if I'm wrong, your season's going to be corrected next year, right? Like you're going to be able to now fish, at least catch and release, or is it?
It's been talked about for 10 years and still I have not heard confirmation that's going to happen. we are still on can't even catch and release fish till walleye opener, which is like the second week of May. So yeah, no, I have not heard that they're corrected it or anything like that. What about, I'm pretty sure you guys can't catch and release fish either till later.
We can all year in all of the counties in New York except for Jefferson and St. Lawrence County.
Okay, all right.
Which is St. Lawrence River and like Swimbait area of Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
I went on a whole soapbox last week's episode with my pal Alex Rudd about there's some people that don't abide by some of those regulations.
Oh, it's egregious too. It's bad.
Shoot into some of those folks who they know who they are.
Yeah, we've got a lot of that happens here too. And I will say, you know, like I can get mad when I don't get to do it, and then I can understand it when they break and they want to go once in a while or take a kid. I don't know how I feel about it anymore in Minnesota. What I don't understand is our reasoning for it here in Minnesota is just like, you know, it's for the fishery. Right? Well, they tell us, you know, that's not true anymore. But then it's like, do you open it up right as they spawn? And like, I'm not a big bed fisherman, and I only say that because I suck at it. If I was really good at it and I could see them really well, I'd probably like bed fishing a lot more and not feel as strong. But it just seems kind of not that cool to say, like, all right, we open the season up right as you can go stare at them on a foot of water and pick them off left and right. They're not protecting the fishery by opening it and sending everybody out in droves right as they're spawning. You know, I don't get it. I could see, if you want to tell me you're protecting the fishery, shut it down for that month of whatever and have it open before it and open after it. But from what I hear now from a lot of the people that are involved in it here in Minnesota, that a lot of the younger DNR people are all saying it's only because it's always been the way it is. You know, there's no real science behind it, and that we'll get a change and that we'll be able to catch and release fish all off season, which we're not even allowed to do that. We cannot target them intentionally till May. So, which is weird.
It should be the other way around. Cause like ice out is one of the healthiest times of year to catch fish.
I would think, but you know, who knows? I will say this, as much as us in Minnesota whine about it a lot, for good reason. It drives us crazy. We have a very brutal, terrible, trust me, I'm from where you guys live, and it's way worse here. The winter's way tougher in Minnesota than it was in upstate New York, and a lot less snow, but it's colder and it's longer. We have really good fisheries, and we should give some credit to the people who have managed it for a long time, because I've traveled all over the country. And I mean that, all over the country. Some of the perks of my job, my whole career, I've fished everywhere extensively, other than the Pacific Northwest, I should say. But around the rest of the country, I fished all the major bodies of water, rivers, tributary, everything. Minnesota is very lucky to have the fishing it has, and I know a lot of that's due to the winter and the amount of bodies of water, but also it has been managed very well. It is protected very well. So as much as I want to cry about it, that it's not fun and easy all the time for me to access the fishery, it's we still should be grateful that it's as good as it is, because catching a fish in Minnesota is not an issue. You know.
Yeah, I will say one of my bucket list trips is to literally go spend a month in Minnesota.
Yeah, you
just take the kayak and go fish 2 new lakes.
Minnesota and Wisconsin would be awesome.
Yeah, you're
in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, adding some of those lakes.
Yeah, you're dead on right. If with a kayak to do that would be very smart, because you get out where like out in the western part of the state, it's a lot of farmland. It's very different. It's a diverse state as far as the makeup of the bodies of water and stuff, but there's a billion small ones, and there's a lot of unpressured waters, and it would be a good trip. Wisconsin's very underrated too. It's got a lot of good bodies of water. They eat a lot of the bass in Wisconsin. I like to pick on all my Wisconsin buddies, so it's not as good.
Yeah, a bunch of jerks keeping it. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, but also looking forward to talking about some fish and tackle trends, because I know you guys did a little bit of show on this with Panger, probably a good, I don't know, was it 7-8 months ago? But kind of like the fishing industry right now is shifting, I feel like, very fast, and obviously you're seeing that full force.
Yeah, it's weird. I some days I'm happy about it, some days I'm mad about it. We haven't had a normal year since we started Omnia yet, where I could just like kind of forecast and understand what like everybody's after. We're a bass fishing store right now. That's what we are. That's going to hopefully in the next 4 or 5 years, maybe less than that, change and be full service for everybody and all different fisheries. But it was concepted and it's going to scale off bass fishing just because it's the biggest consumer market. It's the most abundant, nationally, it's the most, easily serviceable species. We've sold more casting equipment, casting rods and reels, traditionally every year since the business started. We are on pace this year to sell more spinning tackle than bait casting tackle this year.
Wow.
And that's nationally. Now, 30% of our business is in the Midwest. So even though we're a Midwest-based company, we do more annual all year sales around the whole rest of the country. And to see that bass anglers are starting to nationally start buying more spinning tackle is legit. It's not just saying it, it's happening. So all this forward facing sonar talk is real, as much as we're all sick as hell of talking about it. Now, I promise you guys I won't go on a tangent about any of that. There's enough of that going around, but the forward facing sonar thing is extremely real. The pressures on our fisheries, I add that just as much into the sonar technology stuff, is just because since COVID, we've had so much fishing pressure on our bodies of water that just, finesse tackles winning. It's winning out a lot. And so lighter line and lighter tackles winning. So casting or spinning equipment is starting to sell like crazy. You guys can imagine what our biggest categories and baits are. It's little jig heads and minnows, we sell a lot of them. And, the most popular by a million miles is still the Sakamata shad from Depths. Those are just insanely hard to get. When they come in, they go as fast as they get. But now the other manufacturers are starting to make some momentum towards it. We've seen a lot of success with that Raid fish roller. People just using certain jig heads like I forget what the one's called. I'm trying to think of the Bay Rough. I think it's Duo. Has fins on their head so it rolls. The fish roller from or the range roller from Owner, you can put that on like a regular Zoom fluke and get it to roll a little bit. So you don't need all the fancy Japanese tackle to pull off these tactics. You know what I mean? Smallmouth anglers will be cracking up because they've done this forever. You know what I mean? My walleye friends pick on us like crazy. The bass fishermen are evolving into walleye anglers, even though we've picked on them.
Definitely catching a lot more walleye.
Yeah, exactly. We've picked on them for decades for their terrible tackle assortments and closed-mindedness as anglers, and here we are chasing them down. But you basically need a small minnow presentation and all that, and that's been going pretty good. Now, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, it seems like if you can't get bit throwing a tiny little 3 to 6 inch minnow, which isn't that small, honestly, but you go throw a giant swim bait. So on the other end of the spectrum, the other end of the spectrum is people who don't want to do that all day or can't get fish to commit to these little baits, are throwing something insanely large. So, the Chad from Spro and all the pre-rigged and unrigged swim baits we see from the Mega Basses and the Pure Fishing and so on and so forth. All those are selling like crazy still too. So, it's really, I'm one of those people that's glass half full when I look at this stuff, because I've been in the industry long enough to see things go up and down. If you'd have told me 4 or 5 years ago that we'd sell a ton of spinner baits at Omnia, I'd have laughed in your face. Like I looked for 99-cent spinner baits when we started the place, because I just thought that whole category was dead. Like anglers had moved on from it, and now we do quite a bit of spinnerbait business. So it's hurting this year, but things go in cycles. So I wouldn't doubt, if you are a frog angler, if you still crack a tube on the Great Lakes, if you do any of that stuff, I promise you less people are doing that right now. I can tell you from the tackle sales. So go do that stuff. It's going to pay off sooner or later.
You've probably seen Sorry, go ahead. I didn't
Go
mean
ahead.
to cut you off.
No,
I was saying you've probably seen a decrease in Ned rig sales too because everyone's jig head minnowing.
Yep, it's correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And I think that will make those other techniques come back around at some point. We've seen that in fish conditioning in the past. So as far as tackle trends, I hate saying it, but it's other than spinning tackle getting more. I will say this is an interesting one if you are into, you're into newer tackle and stuff like that. The biggest trend I'm seeing that I'm watching slowly happen that's being resisted a ton by everybody is the shorter rods. I've always been a big proponent of like the longer the rod you're comfortable with, the better, just because the more leverage, casting distance, blah, blah, blah. I'm a 4,000 spinning reel guy. I was one of those early adopters pushing Seth and all those guys to that. Like I want, a larger spool surface. I want faster line pickup and a bigger drag surface. We are seeing smaller spinning reels and shorter and shorter rods by the month take off. And I'm telling you to the point where 6'10", 6'8" is still on the longer side of things. I wouldn't doubt we start seeing a lot of high-end rod manufacturers selling volume spinning rods in that 6'3", 6'5", and that's that old school 6'6" length take off again, because it's really what's shining for kind of fishing your rod like a conductor's wand. It's like conducting an orchestra. They're using it more like that in front of their live scope more than they're using it for precise long casting or anything like that. It's more about just pinpointing little pitches.
So I was talking to some people too, like throwing like the 3/32 ounce head and stuff, or even smaller. It's actually easier to dictate where that cast goes with that shorter rod. So I got a couple Canadian buddies that have been like messing around with some 6'5" rods, and they're like, it blows it away how much control you have.
I was in Japan a couple months ago, and Koyo Fujita is like the prince of Japan, right? He just kills it. His scoping rod that he uses the most. He has several rods, obviously, but his one that is like his weapon, his lightsabers, is 6'5", light power, extra fast action. It is the wildest rod you've ever picked up in your life. It's like as big around as a pen. It's got way more backbone than you'd imagine. You look at the thing, you're like, oh, it's cool. It's a panfish rod. And you pick it up, and it's not a panfish rod. It's very stout. It's got a little tip to it. One of the Bassmaster guys got his hands on it. I've been talking to him. He's a Lanier guy, big spotted bass guy down in Lanier. He said he's going to switch all of his spinning rods to short rods now, all of them.
Wow.
Like after fishing with that thing. So
and that's only spinning rods we're talking, right?
Just spinning. Yep.
You're making me concerned from the cast.
Could you imagine the new trend is flipping grass and punching grass with like a 6'3" extra heavy with a parabolic bend? Like, could you imagine? Just might as well start playing pool.
I know.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I think it's coming to the point where unless you're throwing hair or maybe you're bomb casting a little swim bait. I mean, it seems to be that's 6'8", 6'10" is kind of the trend right now.
That's where I think it's going to land in the US, right? Because we always end up tacking on some extra powers and length to everything the Japanese end up bringing over here. So I would imagine their 6'5" would end up being a 6'8", 6'10" in our marketplace, but who knows? I think we've only scratched the surface on this technology if you really think about it. So, we got a lot to learn here. So, keep buying tackles. All I can say.
Are we kind of becoming like Japan then in that regard, where I've heard from people that there's no middle ground for them? It's the two extremes, like very big and very small.
That's a great, and I haven't heard it even put that simple, but that's exactly kind of very true. When you're over there looking at the tackle, that's insanely accurate. The creepy thing is, and I'm going to say this flat out, is as I walked around and talked to everybody about it, they say that we're in the Stone Ages. Like they're way past the rolling minnow thing, way past. Now I can't get them to tell me what it is that they're on to. So I wish I had some cool ass story to tell you guys about that. All I know is that they're not chasing the same thing we're chasing right now over in. But mind you, they're fishing 3 big major freshwater bodies with a population. I mean, I was in Osaka. I got to Osaka. I was in Tokyo for a couple of days in Osaka for the show, and I was in up in a touristy, building overlooking Osaka, taking pictures. And I was like, "This is bigger than Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's huge." And they were like, "It's bigger than New York City, dude. It's Osaka is not even known as to me, I didn't even realize it was that big a city, and it's bigger than New York City."
Oh my gosh.
And that's right by where all the lakes are. So do your math, guys. I mean, it's like the population base is right by those bodies of water. So the level of pressure, we talk about pressure, it ain't even the same ballpark of what we say pressure is. Yes. So what they're on to now is something maybe that last week's we might have this scoping thing in front of us for 10 years before the pressure gets to these fish. Not the way for them, it was only a couple years, and then the whole suspended minnow thing died off, and it wasn't the deal.
That's
right now for us, it's the deal.
Yeah, they're throwing, and that tells us that the dice balls and cubes are already long gone in Japan too. It's like, okay, time to outsource.
Yeah, they can have it.
That's actually
yeah. Yeah, that was creepy for me to hear that. Like I was asking everybody, I'm like, what minnow took over for the Sakamata? Because I wanted to get in front of something. And they did tell me that this evergreen minnow was kind of like the deal now, and like the Sakamata still sells and all that. But they did point out to me, they're like, yeah, we're off that whole minnow thing.
I did see that, and I definitely did not add to cart already for that. But my quick question here, I don't want to go too deep into this, but with this whole rave on tech and everything like that, is the same angler feedback that we're getting in the States right now, where it's definitely two-sided. Did that happen in Japan too, or are they all on board with all of the?
Good question. I don't know. I asked as much. I got lucky just because of my situation. I had a lot of friends from Japan that were working here in the United States when I still worked in sales with Daiwa and stuff. I was working in a rep group in Minnesota, and I traveled with all the R&D teams with Daiwa and all that. So those guys are all here for like 4 year work visas, and they go back to Japan. So when I went there, I had a lot of people to help me communicate with everybody. I did not get to really get a good solid feel for what the angling community thought of the live scope thing or anything like that. Honestly, I got to go saltwater fishing. I did that. That was fun. It was basically like snook fishing in Florida, but I did that in Tokyo.
That's cool.
Yeah. And talking to the anglers I talked to, they were more still on the kick over in Japan of bass were viewed as an invasive species from most of the people on the island. They're still on like the whole preservation of the fishery as a whole, just keeping the fish alive versus even the tactics of catching them like we are. It's all catch and release with them and all that stuff. They take care of the fish, all that stuff. So from what I understood, it had nothing to do with all of our drama with the tech side of things. It was more about like, how do we make sure that there's still bass for our future anglers to catch,
Yeah. Gosh. It's two different worlds, man, and it's so cool. I mean, there's the saying in the fishing industry that, it's 10 years behind every other industry in the States, but do you think it's 10 or more years behind Japan?
Dude, there's some days I wake up. I'll tell you what, as a whole, coming back from Japan, that was probably the biggest takeaway. Just talking to friends and family, people who don't fish at all. It felt like we were 10 years behind. I mean, honest to God, like I wasn't expecting that. Like just the level of transportation, the way everything was laid out, the way the restaurants operated. I mean, we boarded a plane in Osaka and flew to Tokyo. The plane started boarding. We sat down and started taxiing in 15 minutes. from when they started boarding the plane. Now, I know to most people who probably don't travel for a living, that doesn't sound like anything crazy. I've my entire life been traveling through airports. It's an hour process for us to get sat down our asses in a seat on a plane in America. We were sat down and taxiing away in 15 minutes. Like,
that's incredible.
They were just so much faster and efficient at everything, period, that you can see how in fishing even they've beat us to the punch as far as innovation and things of that nature. It was very impressive to see just as society-wise how high function they are. Now, a little American pride here from your boy who is a prideful American. There was a little bit of, there's not a lot of diversity in the city and all that stuff as you walk around at night. And, we were definitely the loudmouths and stuff walking out of the bars at night and stuff. So there was definitely still a sense of, it's not as Americanized as it's not as westernized over there as I thought it would be. It was very buttoned up and everybody was very regimented and following the rules and doing everything the right way, which was really cool to see because you feel super safe and it was really fun to hang around. But you kind of miss our misfit attitudes a little bit when you're not around it for a week. But I'll say that the fishing industry is in good hands over there. They're definitely leading us. I say that I pressure all of our domestic manufacturers right now. The Japanese are leading us because they're trying, they're innovating, they're making new stuff. So get on board, start doing that ourselves over here. And we could do a really great job with it because we have way more bass and way more bass fishermen, I promise.
Yeah. It's a fun time because one, you have this age of creativity and, if you really put in the work, and like the time, you can do some research of what's over there. Like you guys are doing, staying on the forefront of that, which is why we love working with you guys because we get a little bit of tidbits here and there. But there's that. But then there's also the good old, deal with here with how many lakes we have and things like that, where you can still go down a bank with a $2 in a $2 spinnerbait and still catch them. So we're still in a good spot.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's nice to see also in the fact that I think we're fortunate our bass aren't an invasive species, and we have state agencies, some of them, that actually care about the bass and do a great job at preserving that for the future. So it's cool to see all this stuff happen, but it's definitely the ebb and flow right now is interesting. And I'm kind of curious from your standpoint, you guys got to be able to see kind of the waves of trends with certain baits, things like that. You're talking about still people buying spinner baits, things like that. But what would you say is like, if you had to list 2 or 3, some of the most consistent beyond a Senko? I'm sure Senko's number one, but like most consistent baits that sell year after year.
Yeah. You nailed it with the Senko right there. I mean, since Omnia, the TRD was already on board, right? That whole Ned rig thing's just still going. I would have to say one of my bigger shocks when I see a lot of bait manufacturers, soft plastics manufacturers start roaring up, right? They just, whether it's the scent or the makeup of the plastic, and we just see like them start going, they don't ever seem to want to make tubes. We sell a ton of tubes and we never stop selling tubes. Tubes still are a strong seller. It's Great Lakes regions, all that stuff. Tubes sell like crazy. They flip tubes in Texas and we put a jig head in them on the Great Lakes. They're fished all over. And tubes are great. I think they're a pain in the butt to make, so I don't think anybody wants to make them. But they're a really, really solid bait that always stands the test of time. What's really weird is there hasn't been a ton of advancements. And no, get me wrong, I have a lot of jig making buddies. They're gonna chew my ass for saying this, but we haven't seen a real big advancement in jigs, right? I mean, as far as like brush guard, a big hook, and the skirt, and our jig sales are through the roof this year.
That's good.
Obviously, they're a vessel for delivering a plastic. I can't tell you why they're doing so much better this year than they were even a year or two ago. But, I think with people moving away from the hard baits, the jig is gaining more traction. To your point about always traditional baits that always catch them, I mean, I would say hard baits are the thing that have suffered the most with the whole revolution of technology here in the fishing industry of late. But the jerk bait is stronger than hell. The jerk bait's doing even better. And I think we're going to see advancements in jerk bait technology here coming soon. So, I would say two of the ones that I see trending every year, the same times a year, and stay strong all the time, are tubes for sure, and jerk baits as well.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Hopefully, like topwater hard baits are still.
I hope so too, but I see them ebbs and flows, and that's just honestly, you should. I have to tell this story, and it's shameless, but a couple weeks ago, I was on Hartwell for the OBT Writers Conference, and for a long time, Jason Christie has been my favorite angler. Next to Seth Feider is like one of my best friends in the world, so Seth's my favorite professional angler for sure. But
You should just keep saying somebody different than him.
Yeah,
get them all riled up.
But the truth is, Jason Christie's way cooler than him, and it's like I've always wanted to be friends with Jason Christie, and I've failed miserably at it. I've gotten mad at Seth because I'm like, why don't you ever talk to Jason? And he said he's intimidating. And then every time I'm around him, I choke. I don't say anything. I just run away. And then I got to talk to him last year at the Writers Conference on Saginaw Bay. And then this year I actually got to fish with him. And we threw topwaters the whole time. And I for sure thought I would backlash Jason Christie's spook rod. I thought for sure I would make a fool of myself, but I caught him pretty good, and we had a good time. And we topwater fished together, so I'm pretty sure we're best friends now. But we definitely had a good time. And I would tell you that exactly to your point, like hard topwaters. I got off the boat and was like, I don't care how much for the rest of my life I get to fish a topwater effectively, but I'm going to have the deepest 3,700 box full of topwaters in my boat the rest of my life. Like, it's still the funnest thing in the world to do.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. If topwaters are ever going out of business, I think I would quit fishing, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
I'd refuse.
Yeah.
There's a bite that I get on every year for like a month and a half on the Niagara that it's 4.5 to 6 pound smallies coming up. And Wes Logan came up and fished with me for a couple days, a couple summers ago, and he caught one that was almost 6 on the top. It was like a depth charge going off. It was an absolute giant. It was wild. And I'm like, yep, like that's why we throw topwater.
It's the coolest thing in the world. It's so fun. I mean, that sounds incredible. Like big giant ones on it. We were catching little spotted bass that were, 1.5 to 2.5 pounders. And the fact that it was on a topwater made that thing seem just as, you know what I mean? My memory of it's, we caught 5 pounders, and we didn't, but it was just so much fun. The violence of it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Never gets old.
No, quite literally never. But so with that, this year, is there anything new that's come to Omnia that you might be more excited about? Obviously, you just talked about the evergreen minnow that's as of recent to Omnia. I put that in the bio. And
I mean, honestly, just to do our customers and our vendors and my job, right? I honestly, the last couple of years I'd even signed up for tournaments was more about me staying connected to the industry and not turning into one of the people I always couldn't stand when I was coming up in the industry that talked about fishing but never actually fished or learned anything or got better at it. I'm forcing myself to expose myself to things that typically I'd get lazy right now and say, I've already done the topwater thing, man. No, you haven't. You don't know what the hell is going on anymore. I got to force myself. So the minnow thing is very real for me. I am not good at it. I've had really good days doing it, shockingly, with really good people at it in the boat with me, like people that are expert scopers. On my own, I've been a miserable failure. It sounds super easy. It's supposed to make you a better angler than you're supposed to be. And it hasn't been for me. So this year I'm going to spend a lot of time with some of the new minnows and new jig heads and all that stuff. Tell you the truth, that's not what I'm excited about. That seems more like work to me at the moment. But if you're catching them, I bet you it's not going to feel like work. But I would say, honestly, outside of that, it is what I touched on earlier. I think big baits are they're going to have a renaissance here. And I know all the swim bait guys are throwing up all over the place because they've been ahead of the curve. They buy them from Garage Bandits. They have all the big bait equipment, all that stuff. But it hasn't been good for the masses yet, where it's stuff that's easy to fish and available. You know what I mean? Like you could buy in a store and be able to be fished on normal equipment. And, a guide client of yours, Andy, could go fish with the thing and actually not, I think that's really honestly starting to come to it's going to have its kind of heyday right now. The bigger baits are starting to be mass produced better, and I think we're learning how to fish them better, and our equipment's getting better for it. And I think there's some new stuff. I mean, I just look at what Spro did with the Chad Shad, and yes, it's a $60 bait. I'm not pretending to anybody that's not a stupid amount of money to pay for a hard bait. But in the world of swim baits, yeah, it's a damn deal. That's buy one, get one. It's a really easy bait to fish. That's what's crazy. It's like anybody could fish that thing, and you could reel it straight in and catch them on it. So I'm looking forward to diving into that world. We've avoided it at Omnia because it's not a scalable section of the tackle industry. It's not easy for me to figure out what to assort and how many we can get, and how to have the best pricing on it or anything like that. I think that's going to change, and we're going to try a lot more of that this year. So if I were to say if there's a trend right now that I think I'm excited about the most, I think we're going to see this year at ICAST, you're going to see a lot of scope and minnows, and I think you're going to see a lot of swim baits that are actually affordable and effective for the everyday angler.
That's awesome. Yeah, it definitely seems to be the growing side of the swim bait market is the entry level ways to get in. That's not gonna cost you $200 for one bait, where maybe the entry level angler is probably gonna run through a couple baits in that learning process where
for sure
they don't want to go burn $200 casting it off trying to dial in their setup type of deal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you can even look at like the custom guys like Clutch we just had on the Lure Lab a couple weeks ago. They have their expensive ones, and then they have their $100 one that makes it a little bit more affordable for the entry level guy to get in, and it works super easily, and you catch a ton of bass on it. So
and for the hardcore swim bait people out there, I think there's always going to be a place for that. I don't think it'll devalue anything, because those baits, like when the more you spend, if you understand it, which I'm not going to act like I do, but I've been going down the rabbit hole the past year.
Me too.
There's the small intricacies that make those baits. I'm not going to say that these are worth $300, but they're definitely worth more than, say, a Chad Shad would be. A Chad Shad's a great entry level swim bait. I mean, even now, like if you see pros throwing it, like it's, I think if anything, it's going to gain more popularity, and it's going to get more folks into buying the more expensive swim baits.
Agreed.
Because you filled in the price levels. You're just getting more.
It's a gateway.
Yep. Without a doubt. I mean, look, I've been walking around shows for years now as we've debated jumping into that end of the pool with Omnia. And every swim bait rod manufacturer's laughed in my face when I say, I'm getting a ton of requests for a short-handled swim bait rod so they can roll cast around docks or whatever. And they're like, that's not a swim baiter. They don't know what they're talking about. You need an 8.5 foot rod that's extra heavy. We're going to see the manufacturers adjust and make some stuff that's more mass market stuff. And I know that might make, like you said, there'll still be a place for the guy throwing a 1 pound lure. But there will be a place now, I think, for the average angler to afford to get into swim bait fishing and be able to buy equipment that maybe fits in his boat, and it's easy to fish. So
it's going to be exciting to see where all that goes.
That's
for sure. One of the things I was curious about too, obviously you having much more visibility to that on your side is, how often are baits discontinued? You see from your side.
I know the truth, not fast enough. They don't get discontinued as quick as they used to, because the last couple of years with COVID and all the crazy stuff that went down, we need to have a little bit more of a clean out of what's out there right now. I think the retailers are doing more of it than the manufacturers are. They're forcing the hand, saying like, hey, there's just not enough turns happening with this said bait, so I'm not going to order anymore. We're going to clearance it out, and then we're going to move on from it. That's back to our earlier point you were making. How far is the fishing industry behind other commerce type industries? It's behind. it moves a little slower. I still meet with vendors. I've met with vendors today. I met with vendors yesterday. I'm going to meet with them all the way up until the middle of July here. Some of them still don't believe the internet's going to work out. They don't, they made really good baits in the 60s, 70s, 80s that caught a ton of fish, and they just don't turn the way they used to. But it's hard to justify new manufacturing processes and all that to make new molding and new tooling to make new lures. So we get served a lot in the fishing industry, a lot of regurgitated stuff that gets bounced around from manufacturer to manufacturer. Your listeners and us guys that would sit on podcasts and go fishing, and we fish a lot, we see through it, but the general public doesn't, so I wish we were clearancing out and cycling through old baits a lot more than we honestly do right now. A lot of them hang on a little too long.
Yeah. And I guess with that, and obviously this is very open-ended. It's more opinion than would be fact, but do you think that these multiple brands going out there that are trying to have every bait for every single category is becoming an issue more than a good thing?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good call. I mean, we do talk about is it good for the industry? It's good for major box stores, right? Which I don't have any hate. Used to work for one. I got friends that work at them. It makes things easier for that buyer. I can tell you, for me and Jacob that are on the buying side of this industry, that can make things easier. And they tend to have a little bit more budget and a little bit more technology savvy. So yeah, I would like them to make an offering with a scope jig head that made it way easier for me to buy it. But is it making it more innovative and better for us as an industry? Not all the time. We're going to see a renaissance here. We're already seeing it in fishing. We're just not paying that much attention to it, of the garage guy coming back. We're seeing it already. It happened. The Swimbait guys are way ahead of this. Started making their own stuff and selling it and doing drops with the internet and all that stuff. We're going to see that coming down the pipeline here with plastics and jigs and all that stuff. It always has, but it hasn't been so easily accessible unless it was regional to you.
Right.
The big boxes or those big conglomerates have a place in this industry. They absolutely do. But I do think innovation still comes at a regional level from the hardcore angler himself.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We're going down some lure lab territory here.
We are.
Yeah, I like it.
It's so hard not to. Well, dude, anything else? Obviously, we got big live stream going on tomorrow. But before we wrap this sucker up, obviously we have a couple questions for you to wrap up anyway. But is there anything coming up for you, trip wise or Omnia Fishing wise, that people need to know about?
I mean, I would honestly, and I mean, for me, I've been quiet as far as our whole team goes, as far as all the pro stuff with Omnia, because my job is more on the merchandising side, right? Like, just if you could picture Omnia as, as a company, I'm more on the exactly what this conversation has been about tonight, which has been very fun for me. So thanks for having me, guys. But it's about looking at trends and looking at what's going to happen. Can I even buy to it? Should I ignore it and move on? All that stuff. That's what I do. I haven't paid much attention to the tech side of Omnia because it's my job to be covering our butts on the other end. And I have had one ask of our tech team since they started all this, and that is, hey, because I struggle with technology myself. I'm not a very technical angler as far as using my graphs and stuff like that. I side image really well, and that's about where it ends. And then I can spot lock really well too. I hit my spot lock button a lot. That's about like literally where my strengths are. I've always struggled with waypoints, and I mean that. I know a lot of people might think I'm being salesy right now, but my best friends from Seth Feider, Aaron McGraw, tournament partners I've had my whole life will tell you I am brutal when it comes to like marking a spot correctly, not where the boat is, where the spot is, and how do I send it to my buddy, and where did I put it, and did I change it? I've used 40 different icons on my graph, so I have no idea what they even mean anymore. I have golden gooses and crossbars and stuff. Like I have no idea how to do any of that stuff. So I literally said, if I had an ask, make this something that I could enjoy even doing in the off season, managing and working with my waypoints. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, think of all the things Omnia is doing right now, whether or not you buy tackle from us or not, that we'll all be using Omnia for waypoint management soon. And I want you to pay attention to that as it comes down the pipeline here. It's already functioning to an extent right now. You don't need to have Pro. You can just have an account with Omnia and you can play with it. You don't need to buy a Pro. You just do it yourselves, your listeners, anybody. Just go monkey with it. Make waypoints. You have to. Oh, I don't know that yet. But you can share them with your friends. You can text message them back and forth. You can change the icons. You can move them around. It already saves them by lake. It saves all your weather conditions, wind direction, all that stuff's all associated to the waypoint. But it all goes from your phone right onto your desktop at home, and you log into your account and you sit at your desktop at home. So I could sit there at night and say, what did I make today? What was going on there? Well, the wind was out of the north. I thought it was out of the west when that was going on. And I can move stuff around and catalog it and start really paying attention to how I've done things in the past. And for a guy that's getting up there, I feel old anyway right now. I've fished all over the country and I have not done a good job of keeping track of kind of the story of where all the places I've been and the things I've done. I haven't done that. And it's kind of sad to me. My graph should tell me a story. And unfortunately it doesn't. It's a bunch of blue, messy dots and numbers,
And golden gooses.
Yeah. And golden gooses. Exactly.
Golden gooses and red crosses and blue dots.
Yeah. So I honestly encourage any of you that are struggle with technology to just go screw around. Go on Omnia's website. Don't download the app. Don't do any of that. Just go on Omnia's website, create an account if you haven't, and just start monkeying around on the maps and making waypoints and screwing around with it. And I think you're going to see yourself unlock like, oh my God, if they figure this out, which by the way, I promise you they did, that's coming. And it's already available on the app if you're pro, but you'll see how the advantages of it. It's going to be really, really cool stuff for all of us as anglers to kind of have a place for us all to kind of not only shop or get new information, fishing reports, tournament results, all that kind of stuff, which I think is all coming on the app here shortly, but also manage our time on the water a little better.
So you're saying I don't need to journal all this crap by hand anymore?
Dude, that's what I've been asking for. And I've been playing with it now for about a week and a half. And honestly, I feel guilty because I'm not giving justice to all the hard work our tech team has done. We have the best water clarity data. We have the best water temperature data. We have the best data, first in class and all that stuff. And I'm jacked up about waypoint stuff. And they're like, that's the easy stuff, you moron. But it's the stuff I'm jacked up about because I know for me as an angler, it's what I struggle with the most. I just do. I don't share waypoints with people a lot, but I could see myself doing that if it was easy to hit my friends up or people to say like, hey, I was up here off this point, start there and go move in,
Yeah. So you're going to be texting Seth some waypoints when he's struggling tomorrow.
He doesn't believe me about anything. Like if I say it, he'll do the complete opposite. That's just, we're good enough friends that's how that goes.
That's amazing.
No, yeah.
Here we go. Fishing with Gramps didn't know that you could put it on your desktop and go into Premium Pro. And his response was, yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yep. You can do that tonight and you don't even need to be pro, but you could, it can jump back and forth from your phone if you just have an account.
That's wild.
Yeah. If somebody said it earlier, I think it was Sean in the comments, but if you're not already a Premium Pro member, what are you doing?
Dude, the shipping's free with no minimum. So like
get money back.
I talked about those minnows earlier. I know I'm beating minnows to death, but this is my life nowadays. So get used to it. Evergreen, that 128, that new minnow, you could buy a pack of them and try them and you get shipping for free and 10% back. That right there should almost pay for your membership right there.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like basically every month you guys are running a couple of days where you do a $49 rebate, which is basically.
I will give your listeners an early preview hint. If you're in the market for bait casters and you're not, whether you are brand loyal or not, or you want good stuff, not entry level stuff, pay attention in the next day or two. The best deal of the year is coming for Premium Pro members tomorrow or the next day. And I mean that, like, and that's just strictly casting equipment talk. If you're in the market, you're hurting. If you're a guy that's been out there getting crappy pro staff deals, whatever the hell the deal is, and you're looking to load up, pay attention. Promise you. You won't call me a liar. You won't call me a liar tomorrow.
There truly are. He says there are some sneaky ass deals. Yes. You guys need to at least
my wallet
part of your thing
whenever I get the email.
When you pour your coffee in the morning, simply load your Omnia app or browser, whichever it is, and just, if it's especially the browser, just look at the top roller bar, and it's all you need to know for sales. It's pretty epic. I mean, there's a bunch going on right now. I mean, you get 30% back if you're a pro member on all rain gear right now, which is
right now. Yep. Mm-hmm. If you want a nice blackfish suit, go get it right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and you still have the whole site-wide Omnia 20 code, 20% off. What you don't.
That's just till midnight tonight. So you got till midnight tonight on that.
Oh, get on it then.
I'm just saying that's going well. I can't reiterate enough. If you are in need of bait casters, hold your breath. It's gonna get punchy tomorrow. It probably won't last very long either. And we have a lot. And I promise you, I can't get picked on for being unprepared for it. There's plenty, but it will make some noise tomorrow. So
that's awesome.
Well,
dude, one, appreciate you taking the time out to come on the show. You always got a seat here, man. We love having you, and looking forward to the live stream tomorrow morning. But a couple questions for you before we let you go here. More on the fun rapid fire side is, so you mentioned it. You've been traveling all over the globe at this point when it comes to fish and tackle and dealing with anglers. And I'm curious, who is the best angler, pro wise, that you've ever shared the boat with, and non-pro wise that you've ever shared the boat with?
Oh God, man, that is such a freaking killer question. And I don't know. It's hard for me because it all comes down to that definition of a pro, right? And which we struggle with in this industry, right? How do I separate Andy from the guys that are pretend guides and not really, do that? Like where do you draw that line of a pro? If it's a pro or non-pro, because they're not a tournament angler or a full-time guide, which I would consider pros, right? If they make their living fishing, it's Jeremy Smith from Linder Media. But dude, he works for the Linders, so he should be considered a pro too. So I guess that's a stupid ass thing, but I'm just saying that's the type of guy that the wind switches out of the west and you're fishing for giant walleyes, and he goes, I bet you we can catch a limit of crappies right now. And you just go catch a giant limit of crappies in July. And it's like, I wouldn't even know where to start to switch it up and do that. And that dude's just eat, breathes, and sleeps the biology of a lake, and I've never been in a boat with somebody that adept at breaking down or at knowing how the whole biomass of a body of water works like Jeremy Smith.
That's incredible.
I've got stories with Seth to turn you black and blue, like just of tournament angling stuff, like following a turn around on Oneida Lake for 3 days to find smallmouth, and just incredible stuff from there. So I obviously can't say that I've spent so much time in a boat with Seth all over the country that he's certainly the best pro. I've seen him do things that to me make you go, there is a difference between guys like me that love bass fishing and love just fishing in general, and the guys who eat, breathe, and sleep in their boat. Just boat control things, knowing how to run a boat. There's a whole different level. So Seth is probably the pro that I would say took me to that level. That was the best I've ever been in a boat with. And I know that's a cheesy answer because he's my friend and most people know that, but I haven't spent enough personal time with other pros to see them show me the things Seth has shown me, the difference. If I get another say of a non-pro, be just because we should call Jeremy Smith a damn pro. He hosts the damn Linders Angling Edge television show, but I wanted to mention him because he is to me one of the greatest outdoorsmen on planet Earth. you know, I've got a couple buddies, you know, I've been lucky enough to fish with here in Minnesota that aren't pros by any means. They've maybe dabbled their toes in some of the stuff. My friend Ryan Otto's a really good fisherman, one of the best jig fishermen I've ever been in a boat with. I love this question because it just makes me think of all the fun people I've been in a boat with. Yeah. I have an uncle that got me into fishing. Like we all have that story. He has a salmon boat on Lake Ontario that I feel like was Al Linder. You know, but I would, you know, I guess I'm going to take the low hanging fruit and go with my answer being Seth and Jeremy Smith.
I love that. Have you ever gotten to share the boat with Noah Schultz?
I haven't. No, I don't even know him. I honestly started kind of stepping away from tournament angling as he just started whipping the dog shit out of everybody here in Minnesota. It was, you know, Seth was the same way, right? Seth was winning boats every week and month and beating us in all these tournaments all over. And then Seth moved on. I hung around a little while, and then I kind of took my career more serious in the fishing industry as he made it in the fishing side of things. And then Noah Schultz was really kind of that new Seth, like that dude's like, that guy's going to win whatever he fishes.
Yeah. I think if he's going to do the opens on, you know, that division, that's basically the Minnesota division. I'll be scared if Noah's in there.
Yeah, I know.
But dude, we got to connect you guys. You at least got to go fish with him.
I would love to. I mean, I want to get more involved, and we don't do a good enough job of that at Omnia just because we're a tech company and we're moving so fast of taking care of business at home. We've been lucky to have like the Minnesota Bass Heads on board and some of the Federation Bass Trails and some of that stuff, but we have not taken care of the local anglers or the local fishing scene as well as we should have.
You know? All right, when we get off here, I'll connect you with Noah.
Yeah.
We gotta make that happen.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. You guys are brothers from my old part of the world. I got to get over there again and connect with you guys is what I'm more concerned with at the moment because I haven't been home in a long time, and it's the last few times I went back, I got a real eye-opening understanding of how much I missed out on as a kid, not having a boat or getting outdoors much when I was in Syracuse, other than going salmon fishing in the spring. You know,
you say when, we'll make it happen, bro, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So the last question, I'll leave you with this, and we'll let you go. Is you have to choose one new career path that's not in fishing.
Oh, damn.
What would it be?
Oh, I have such a weird skill set. You know, like I don't know what else I could do that like kind of fits in other places where I'd have success. You know, it's embarrassing to say now as a damn old fat guy. It's thinking about when I was growing up in Syracuse, I was big into martial arts and stuff. So I was doing a lot of like tournaments and stuff like that in that part of the country. I don't know. I don't know what I would be into, but maybe something along the lines like that, like teaching kids or something. And
Pete the Karate Kid.
Yeah, exactly. Getting more into like something like that. Cause I certainly, if I wasn't doing this, I would hope I would get in shape. That's what I would hope. I would do something athletic and get myself moving a little bit more.
Fishing is not kind on.
No. Neither's doing podcasts and all the stuff that we do all the time. I do a lot of eating and sitting and talking about fishing.
That's a dang fact. That's awesome. Well, bro, appreciate you taking the time out. Looking forward to linking up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, live on the Omnia as well as the Serious Angler page, and watching Seth go fishing.
Yeah. Dude, thanks, you guys. This was cool. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah. Always welcome, dude. Well, appreciate it. And, man, we'll be talking to you tomorrow morning.
See you guys.
All right. See you, Pete. There you have it, folks. Mr. Pete from Omnia Fishing. You guys definitely seen him on some rounds with different shows. And, again, I encourage you guys to go and tune into the live stream here right where you're watching this show tomorrow. We'll be live on Facebook as well as YouTube, but also you can go tune in on the Omnia Fishing YouTube page as well. And basically be Pete, Pat Renwick, and myself and some others from the Omnia Fishing crew that we'll be watching old Seth Feider on Mille Lacs fishing and talking some crap and again, you guys can go compete against him. You're going to be watch his day on the water where he's going to go try to enter some fish into this tournament. But I put the link in the comments. I'll put it in the bio afterwards. But basically, you go to tourneyx.com and you can just search literally Omnia Fishing, and you'll see where you can go and basically enter, and you're competing against Seth Feider to go win some pretty big prizes for Omnia Fishing. And hey, Pete just mentioned it right there, so we're going to hold him to it. You know, if you talk some crap to Seth, he's going to give out some prizes to people that talk some shit.
I love it.
Yeah, make sure you guys have some fun with it. You know, go post on your socials if you're fishing it. You know, tag Seth in it. That you know, you're kicking his butt or you're coming after him, whatever have you. But it's going to be fun time where you can win a lot of good, cool stuff from Omnia Fishing. And there's so many dang sales going on. You got the links to all the sales down below, as well as we'll put some of Pete's favorite baits for June. So make sure you guys go and do that, because it's going to be it's a fun week in the Omnia crew. So with that, we're going to have a live stream, obviously, tomorrow morning. It's going to be for an hour, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. And then you can go and tune in. I believe it's 12 to 2. We'll get you guys updated times on social media, but you can go and continue watching. They're going to go live over on Bass Talk Live, so you guys can go and tune into that one as well. So it's going to be a fun week. And so therefore, there's not going to be a Friday episode because we'll have that live stream. We'll see if we can get that MP3 download for that and put that up for our listeners if that's something you guys want to tune into. Otherwise, of course, you can come over on YouTube and watch. But Andy does a fun show. It was cool talking about the tackle trend, seeing the other side of it. It was kind of almost like a hybrid show of Serious Angler, Lure Lab, and Biz from the Bass Boat, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, man, anything coming up for you that the folks need to know about? My butt will be flying to Florida this weekend. Going to go see the family down there for a couple days and enjoy the 95-degree humidity. But we'll have a fun show coming up for next week.
Yeah. No, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the Lure Lab this weekend. The one guest that I thought about having on, I didn't realize there was a tournament going on at the Potomac until after I messaged him. So we're going to get that one here in the near future, probably next week, hopefully. But figuring out the Lure Lab, tons of guiding. I'm off tomorrow and Thursday, and then basically straight through the end of June, almost every single day. So be a lot of smallmouth that's about to be caught. And then have a cool little promotion coming up once I get the remaining of things coming in for some one-on-one guiding lessons. So pay attention to my social media. That's going to be a good one that I'm going to be announcing here shortly. So
you're going to be teaching guiding or teaching things?
Teaching a technique, a very specific technique. So
just one technique?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
So if they say, Andy, I want to go learn how to throw chatterbait, you're going to be like, no.
No. Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Darn you and your other techniques. We only need this one.
Yes. So it's very specific. One of the 3 things I have received in the mail. So there's going to be like a prize pack for whoever signs up for the one-on-one day. So there's going to be 2. There's going to be 2 one-on-one days I'm going to offer. So, yeah.
What if I win?
You don't win.
Damn it.
It's not free. You have to pay for the day on the water. You can pay me and you can get the stuff. That's fine. Like
it's a load of crap.
So, but yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be largemouth based, so it will not be smallmouth fishing. So make it a little bit more exciting.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. Well, folks, we appreciate you guys as always. If you're listening on MP3, please leave us a rating and review. And I'll make mention that we have not forgotten about the stickers. Literally, it's just life has been hectic as all get out over here. So I still have people saved. We still have Serious Angler stickers that we're going to be making, sending out. We just have a lot of stuff going on over here at Serious Angler Network. That once we can get things going, we'll get that ball rolling, get a bunch of stuff sent out to you guys. So we'll make it all worth it. But we're just we got a big mountain to climb right now. But once we get to the peak, it's gonna be a lot of fun getting things rolling for the future of the Serious Angler Podcast Network. Which, obviously Serious Angler Podcast Network, headline show here, Serious Angler, but make sure you guys check out our other 3 shows. One of them being Andy's Lure Lab that has absolutely been doing incredible, and appreciate it. 'Cause a lot of you guys that will tune into that one And
we
just
appreciate it greatly.
Reap the reward of the juice that gets spilled on that show.
Yeah, we've had some good episodes the last few, so it's been real good.
Heck yeah. Well, folks, appreciate y'all. You guys are amazing, and we'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Serious Angler YouTube channel or Facebook page. But without further ado, we'll see y'all hopefully tomorrow.